This video will explore whether cryptocurrency built on blockchain technology could be a viable replacement for government-issued currencies. Due to the peer-to-peer nature, some potential downsides could be barriers to gaining mainstream adoption, such as inefficiency factors relating to energy consumption, the number of transactions, speed of transactions that can be handled, volatility in the market, and use by criminals. Some background on cryptocurrency and blockchain. It was initially introduced in a white paper dating to November 2008, published under the name Satoshi Nakamoto, believed to be a pseudonymous name written by a single or multiple persons, depending on what you want to believe. Cryptocurrency and blockchains are built on digital signatures and cryptographic proof instead of being based on trusting banks. It works by being peer-to-peer, where people run nodes on their computers and they communicate with each other. This would be similar to how some file sharing networks might work. Transactions are digital signatures that are broadcasted and picked up by nodes on the network. A consensus algorithm is used to validate the transactions. For example, Bitcoin uses proof of work, where miners have to solve a complex puzzle that is a challenge that uses computing resources, but once it's solved, it can be easily verified. The network is considered secure as the algorithm is designed, so if most of the processing power is not controlled by a single party, then the other nodes on the network would be able to outpace attackers. Miners operate nodes that process transactions and hash them into a chain of blocks, and the longest chain is considered valid. This is what is often referred to as mining. In return, they're incentivized with both transaction fees and are rewarded with new coins as a way to initially distribute a limited amount of coins before switching to fees only. When it comes to being inefficient on energy use, blockchains such as those that use proof of work are designed to be energy intensive because their high energy use is what protects the network from being attacked. One researcher determined electricity consumption for Bitcoin to between 60 and 125 terawatt hours per year, compared to what whole countries use, such as Austria being at 75 gigawatt hours or Norway using 125 gigawatt hours. Other research indicated that popular blockchains such as Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum in 2017, the blockchains were using more than power than 159 nations. Bitcoin started out with just being hobbyist mining, but as it gained in value, it has increased the demand to create massive server farms, trying to mine cryptocurrency 24/7 with thousands and thousands of servers consuming electricity. Another downside to the energy use is on the limited amount of transactions and the speed at which they can be confirmed. The limit is approximately 15 transactions per second for Bitcoin. And then these numbers are based on variables such as the average block time, the minimum storage size a transaction would take, and the maximum allowed block size. While in contrast, more traditional payment systems can handle thousands of transactions per second. The speed at which transactions are confirmed is due to that each chain has its own targeted block time for which new blocks get created. For Bitcoin, this would be 10 minutes. So if someone bought a candy bar, the merchant would need to wait at least 10 minutes for the transaction to be confirmed, possibly even longer if they wanted to account for competing blocks, because if the longest chain wins, you might want to wait an additional number of blocks to be confirmed after the block was initially confirmed, just to be sure that it is in the longest chain. In comparison, payment networks like Visa and MasterCard that handle credit card transactions or debit cards will have your transaction confirmed within seconds when you're at the checkout line. Another problem is that every node needs to store a copy of the database to be able to verify past transactions. Over time, the storage size required will just keep exponentially growing. If the block size is 1 megabyte in Bitcoin's case, and the targeted block time is 10 minutes, that's 6 blocks per hour, so 144 megabytes a day. The chain could theoretically grow if each block was filled all the way. Over a year, 51 gigabytes would be the maximum theoretical size that the blockchain could grow in a year. This would just be based, though, if every single block has the maximum number of transactions that it could store, though. In reality, that isn't always going to be the case. There are proposals to purge older transactions, though, so that might help alleviate the problem when it comes to storage. There are also proposals for alternative consensus methods, and actually some newer blockchains are using a concept referred to as proof of stake. With proof of stake, the owners of the nodes are called validators instead of miners. They deposit some of their cryptocurrency to be able to have rights to add blocks to the blockchain. Instead of competing with other miners, the validators are chosen based on the size of their deposit, giving them the opportunity to insert a new block. And then the chain also will try to uniformly divide this based on time. And then there's another variation of proof of stake called delegated proof of stake, where owners of coins can vote on validators that go ahead and confirm the transactions instead. But the downside is the power is then concentrated with a limited number of nodes compared to having thousands of nodes when using other types of consensus. Then with the benefit of less energy use, it brings a new set of problems where a validator could fail to behave as expected. So to counter this, that would have to be detected and those nodes would be punished, such as being removed from the network. One type of attack would be the double spending attack, where someone purchased something and then attempts to reverse the transaction, gaining both the possession of the coins again and the merchandise. So they get both without paying anything. That would be an example of why if you sold a candy bar, you might want to wait for a couple blocks to pass the block that transaction was initially included in, just to make sure that it can't be double spent. Another problem with the adoption is the volatility of the exchange rate. There can be abrupt changes in the exchange rates, mostly due to speculation. Since there are very few transactions happening for goods and services, speculation can become one of the main motivations for owning a cryptocurrency. For example, Bitcoin was trading less than a nickel in 2010, growing to be worth $1,100 in November 2013. Then in 2014, it dropped down to $250, while in September 2017, it jumped all the way back to $4,300. Based on these numbers, the value of a user's wallet can change going up and down like a roller coaster ride. If everyday items like eggs or bread were priced in crypto, their costs could drastically change daily. There's a concern that some cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin might be a highly speculative investment rather than a currency. If it could wildly increase, why would someone want to spend what they could have? They could just hold it and have it be worth more later. The total value of digital currencies is over 1 trillion, with Bitcoin itself accounting for 70% of the market cap. Some have even deemed Bitcoin as being a digital gold, where people hold it as a hedge against inflation rather than currency. However, the volatility issue is expected to drop as cryptocurrency adoption for both consumers and merchants increases. One way to address volatility would be to issue stable coins using blockchain technology. One concept would be that coins issued would be backed by a basket of global currencies with the goal of keeping the currency more stable with less volatility as seen in other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Then some governments and related entities, instead of private organizations, are also considering or working towards releasing a digital version of their currency. The People's Bank of China is already conducting pilots for its own digital currency. The idea is that the POBC and other commercial banks would be able to issue a digital yuan that would be linked to a user's smartphone. However, they decided not to rely exclusively on blockchain. Users would be able to tap their phones together as a metaphor for exchanging cash. Russia's central bank, and also separately, the European Commission and European Central Bank are also considering releasing their own digital currencies. The digital ruble or euro would exist alongside the traditional cash-based ruble or euro. One idea is that the digital euro should not crowd out private sector solutions and would be complementary. While in contrast, India is actually proposing to ban private cryptocurrencies, outlawing cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and other blockchain-based ones. The law would also open the doors for India to create their own nation-backed digital currency. A digital currency issued by the government would make it easier for governments to track every purchase, reducing users' personal privacy, being able to freeze users' accounts, or even automatically deducting fines, giving government the complete control. It would also reduce finance-related crimes such as money laundering or tax evasion while increasing security for users. One theory is that if banks failed, the currency that was issued on a blockchain would still exist in users' wallets to spend and use. However, if governments did get more involved with digital currencies, that might go against the principle why some people like blockchains in the first place. The freedom to be able to conduct their transactions without financial institutions being an intermediary. Another risk due to the decentralized nature is crime, as regulation is complex within the existing regulatory frameworks, and there is a need for governments and developers to collaborate on this problem. Some types of crime is fraud, such as selling fictitious assets, fake investment funds, or investment advisors promising returns that they cannot deliver, or multi-level marketing schemes. It is even possible that some of the cryptocurrency exchanges can manipulate the exchange rates. Exchanges might also not have detailed information on their customers due to having little oversight by regulators, making it difficult to track down criminals. However, this is also highly dependent on where an exchange is based, as some foreign countries might have lax regulations while other ones, such as the United States, might require exchanges to verify somebody's driver's license or ID and social security number, such as exchanges like Coinbase have implemented. Cryptocurrency has also opened the doors to creating ransomware, a type of malware that infects a victim's computer, locking their computer until they pay the attacker to hand control of their computer back to them. One recent attack was in 2019 with Rivera Beach, Florida, where the city ended up paying 65 bitcoins worth $592,000 at the time to be able to unlock their computers. The peer-to-peer and digital nature allows the hostage victim to pay the attacker directly without interference from a bank or government. Another type of malware is one that takes over somebody's computer and uses it to mine for cryptocurrency, stealing their resources such as electricity and slowing down their computer by using process power in the background. So instead of locking them out of their computer, it just uses their computer's resources. Well, they could still use their computer, but it might not be running as they would expect. One could argue that crime has and will always exist within any sector. However, the unique nature of being able to transfer currency peer-to-peer without a third party pseudonymously, in theory, could open up more fraud due to the nature of the architecture of blockchains. Plus, the irreversible nature, and with the transactions being digitally signed, if someone loses their private key or it gets stolen, such as in a hack, their coins would be lost forever. In comparison, even paper cash can be used for crimes, such as buying illegal drugs, but people do not necessarily view cash as being evil. There are also other uses for blockchain technology outside of cryptocurrency. Some possible uses could be for stock trading. Instead of a centralized authority like the New York Stock Exchange, users would be able to trade stocks directly peer-to-peer with each other. Insurance is another application that a blockchain could be designed to keep track of policies, including even settling claims. Language in insurance contracts could be rewritten as if-then statements and be ran like computer programs, logically. Many more possible uses could include supply chain management, insurance, energy management, advertising, inventory, and real estate, such as keeping track of deeds and ownership. Blockchain can be viewed and compared to infrastructure such as the internet itself. There are applications built on top of the internet such as email, social media, online banking, gaming. Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency built on a blockchain would be an example of fulfilling the online banking part. However, it is possible that other applications could be developed using blockchain technology too, instead of using centralized databases and servers. If cryptocurrency does not replace fiat currency, the technology would be able to be used for other applications. Blockchains could continue to support cryptocurrencies as an investment, such as Bitcoin, which some consider digital gold. However, it could also be used for new use cases, such as some of the ones mentioned earlier. Collusion. Bitcoin is still a relatively new technology, and with room for improvement in efficiency and other concerns, to replace traditional fiat currency, it will need to improve by being more energy efficient, increasing the number of transactions it can handle, increasing the speed of which transactions are confirmed, and being more storage efficient. Fortunately, other developers are experimenting and even releasing some other cryptocurrencies with different consensus mechanisms, such as proof of stake. It could be possible that a new blockchain comes along that becomes the new currency used for everyday purchases, such as the digital dollar. It is also possible that Bitcoin could grow more in adoption and improvements are made to be more efficient. Then it might shift from being more of a currency than a speculative investment. There is no doubt that if someone observes current society, we're moving to be more and more digital in our everyday life. As it stands currently, due to the sustainability and even security concerns with limit adoption, if somebody's private key is lost or stolen, they lose their funds, then considering that there's no bank to call for help, it just exacerbates the problem even more. That alone would limit its trust. Adding in the trust issues with volatility would make it less viable to replace fiat currency. Therefore, unless some groundbreaking changes and developments happen, the current trajectory points to a no, that cryptocurrency will not replace traditional fiat currency.